Okay, so 11 key points to look out for in velocity time graphs. Right. Just like any other graph, they should have regular scales, they should have labels in both axes. Right. And the SQ also like to insist that you mark the origin clearly. Okay? So the first one that we were looking at just a wee second ago, now you obviously have the kind of scales in your jotter to use, but I'm going to have to put a couple of some marks for my scale. So you can use the lines in your jotter for them. So this is velocity measured in meters per second. And a regular scale, so I'm going up in 2s. I mark my origin clearly. Now the same going along the way, you're going to have to put some scale points. And that's my time in seconds. And then for drawing the sections, basically, we draw them each individually as nice straight lines. I'm not drawn that terribly well, it's lined up. But and try and line up. So these graphs are a wee bit unlike the other ones where we always draw best fit lines. Essentially what we're doing for these is drawing a best fit line for each section of the motion. Right, remember we did discuss that in the real world you don't get these perfect straight lines. Right, things like friction and other small variations in forces means you don't get these nice straight lines. So there's an example of a velocity time graph. Right, and we're going to refer to that when we do 12, 13 and jump to 17 as well for the learning outcomes. Okay, but we did also want one which included the idea of a change in direction. It's not going to be as big a graph here, but I'm going to squeeze it in to the right. If you can fit it in. You don't have to put it to the right, you can put it below. And this was the example of when we were throwing the cart up the slope and then it was coming back down again. This is my kind of graph B example. What we got was bits like that. Okay? And I think they're worth labelling. Slowing down up the slope. Right? That point there is change of direction. And the final section is speeding up down the slope. So basically it's getting more and more negative, the velocity during that final section. So building up from 0 to -4. And the minus simply indicates the direction, so that we'd still say the velocity is increasing there, it's still speeding up, but in a negative direction. Now learn number 12 is about recognizing the different sections. Right? So what I'll do is I'll just change pen color. Right? And then kind of say see above. Right? So recognizing the sections, this first section here, constant acceleration. Middle section here, constant velocity. And then we'll have another constant acceleration. But I'll put in brackets with that, steeper, so larger acceleration. And then one more to label over here, because I've not drawn any examples in that first one. The first section there is a constant deceleration. Okay, for learning outcome 13, is the idea that the area under the graph, i.e. from the line all the way down to the x-axis, and that gives you the displacement. And in most examples that we're looking at, when it's only going in one direction, that's also the distance. Now, just before I go on to another page, I'm going to put in these wee dotted lines I talked about. Right, put them in another colour again, or dashed lines. Right, so each section put a vertical line, but then for that third section we identified that it has to be split into both a triangle and a rectangle. It's not a simple shape on its own. Continuation of learning outcome 13, and just an example. From graph 1 above. Now, there is no abbreviation for area under graph, and you need to indicate to a marker that that's the method that you're using. Right, so the first thing you have to do is just write S equals area under graph. You will see some people write AUG, right, but the SQA do not recognise AUG, so it doesn't actually get you anything. Now, the previous graph, we had to split it up into 4 shapes, right? So, in reality, you don't tend to get examples as complex as that. They do tend to be just maybe 2 or 3 shapes, right? But the 4 shapes, the first section was a triangle, so we had a half base times the height for the first section. The second section was a rectangle, so you can either write it as LB or BH. It's the same sort of idea. But the third section needed both the rectangle and the triangle, because the area under graph means all the way from the line down to the axis. So the triangle on its own wouldn't cover that, so you need both the rectangle part and the triangle. Now, hopefully I'm remembering this right from the previous page. The first triangle was 4 by 4. Yep, good. So the middle section, is 4 by 4. The rectangle at the bottom of the third section, because we've got to get the area all the way from the line down to the axis, is 4 by 4 plus a half times 4, and the height of the triangle is 6. Right, 10 minus 4. Right, 10 is a common mistake there. Make sure you do the 10 minus 4. and then just calculating all those values, 8 plus 16 plus 16 plus 12 is 52 meters. And let's say the unit is in meters there, because you're multiplying things in meters per second by things in seconds. It's not square meters. Jumping then to learning outcome 17, because I think it should really be together. I don't know why they've done them in this order, but anyway. And that's about determine the acceleration from a velocity time graph. So to do that, read the values of u, v, and t from the graph. And stressing once again, the steeper the line, the larger the acceleration. And that's because the acceleration is actually the gradient of a VT graph. So examples of that. So for the first section in the graph, U was 0, started at 0, V was 4, and the time was 4 seconds. So A equals V minus U over T, 4 minus 0 divided by 4. Kind of running out of space here, but it's 1 meter per second squared. And for the third section, the middle section was constant velocity, so its acceleration was 0. For the third section, it started at 4 and ended up at 10. And in this example, it took 4 seconds to reach that. So once again, A equals V minus U over T. In this example, it's 10 minus 4, all divided by 4 is 1.5 meters per second squared. So as we saw, the line was steeper, and now we've got the data to back that up. The acceleration is larger, because acceleration is the gradient of that line.